All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. It's our Thursday night terrors. And as such, you're welcome to join us on this fantastic safari of the mind and the imagination as we dive into the depths, the uncharted depths of the Paranormal Portal. Welcome. Hope you guys are doing great. Thank you so much for joining us here. And by us, I'm not speaking of myself and my multiple personalities. Nope. I'm speaking of myself and my number one son. Firstborn of the litter. And by God, he's the thoroughbred. Let's see. How about it, Sheldon? Welcome to the show.
I'm a throw of bread?
Thoroughbred.
I don't even... Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I remembered to unmute today, so that's
you did
positive.
but that's not the kind of joke I can write out too often. I can't beat the hell out of that one too much. But
No.
I've got you on a little window in here. Are you seeing the screen?
I do.
Isn't that cool?
It's a nice improvement.
Yeah, Wes and I were just working on stuff like this, and he brought it to the table. He's like, "Hey, do you know you can do this?" I'm like, "Why? No, I didn't."
So if you put the top right corner all the way to the top right corner, I think it'll be a good show.
Oh, like this? Is that what you think?
Hold on, wait for delay.
Let's just do this.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, we'll just wait. You'll see what happens. I resized it to a more appropriate proportion.
Oh, come on.
That's a little more appropriate, I'm thinking, for our adventure tonight.
Actually, you know what? Just keep it that way. That's actually kind of funny.
It is kind of funny. You're my little Jiminy Cricket. I'll put you on my shoulder, and you can be my conscience.
Yeah. Please do.
Oh, but welcome, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. It's doing good. I'm excited about these new things we can do to the shows and dress them up. I'm going to be redoing all of these backgrounds and stuff eventually, just because I think it's time. We've been using them for years now, and it's time to just spice it up again. So I'm working on a lot of graphics lately because I think you got to keep things looking fresh, otherwise people may lose interest, right? So it's like you can't wear the same shirt every day, you know. People will start to question your hygiene.
Depends on how much money I'm getting.
Your hygiene, first of all, but then second of all, your fashion taste. And you're looking kind of incarcerated tonight. What's up with?
I know. Yeah,
Sheldon's on work release, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no.
This is community service for the poor boy. No,
That's right.
Looks fine. But I was excited to showcase that new tile and see how that looked, and looks good. We're gonna have to put that up on the news segments when we do those as well. But yeah, it's great to see you guys. These are our night terrors. For those of you that are new to the shows, these are our shorter formats of the Paranormal Portal, and we go roughly an hour, talk about all kinds of paranormal goodness throughout the course of that hour. And then, of course, we're going to close with the trail cam terrors from beyond, and I got some terrors for you. Folks. Actually, it's an opportunity for me to potentially learn, because somebody out there might know what I'm looking at here. And I'll tell you the story. I will get into the whole thing. It's actually my own photos. And I've kind of shared the story here and there in the past, but I actually dug them up, and I've got them ready to show you. It's something really creepy. I don't know what the hell it is, but I've never seen anything like it before or since that day. But we'll talk about more of that later. What?
They're saying that I'm echoing really bad, apparently.
You're echoing really bad? Huh. Well, I don't know. Let's try this. Maybe there's something to do with that. We were testing a lot today. Is it still echoing, guys? Say something, Sheldon.
I'm listening to the stream. Let me see.
It says you were. You know what? I think it might be because of the way it's better now. Okay, now here's the question, chat. Those of you in chat, pay attention. If you would, please, I want to test this out again. And you guys are kind of the beta test for these new looks, these new developments for the show. So let me know if Sheldon starts to echo again now. So go ahead, Sheldon, and say something.
Hello, test 1 2.
Okay, so we'll see if that's echoing, and let me know if it's echoing again. So
yes, it was echoing.
Okay. All right. So you guys are hearing it again? All right. Then it's this setting. Okay. I got to do some work on that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate that. And I'll just turn that off for now. And let me turn this off for right now. And we'll just do it the old-fashioned way, because this is all a work in progress, ladies and gentlemen. This is our field test. So now, Sheldon, go ahead and talk again.
Is this any better?
How about you talk instead of whisper?
Oh, I was talking. Okay, well, now I'm talking louder. All right, there
perfect.
you go.
There we go. I just want to make sure, because it may be due to the volume as well. So to talk as if you're talking normally. So is that echoing now? Let us know in the chat if you would, guys, please.
Yes, please do.
Turn off the echo setting. Yeah, it is off. Better. Okay. All right. So it seems to have everything to do with that connection that I'm using to bring the Skype screen directly in to the production software. But we'll continue to work on that and see what's going on. What's nope? Much better here. Cold Stairs says. Jordan Cogburn says no. I don't know how much delay we're dealing with here, depending on where people are seeing it, but just keep letting us know, folks. We should be back to normal. I turned off that setting. It says no echo. Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that feedback, because outside of what I can do with either Wes or Sheldon or whatever, I don't have the ability to test this live. So you guys are kind of our beta test here. Thank you so much for that feedback. We'll get that dialed in as we go, but it's probably some other setting that I'm not considering. And I'm sure, I actually think I know what it is now, but it's something I'm going to have to configure off channel and get it ready for the next one. Okay. All right. So we are going to be doing some strange phenomena tonight, as I mentioned. And so remember, the phone lines are open. If you want to call in and be a part of the show, you sure can. The number is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500 is the numbers for fun. Excuse me. On the Paranormal Portal. If you want to call in and be a part of the discussion, love to hear from you. Thank you, Sheldon, for putting that up there. Cold Stairs says, I thought Sheldon was in a doorway to a different dimension when I came in. Yeah, he is. It's called Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah.
That's kind of a different dimension, right?
Richard Singh was in the Phantom Zone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we were able to pull you out for the duration of the show. So let's get to the spookiness. I don't know. I guess all I can tell you is I hope you all are ready, because it's time for bed. Boom. There we go, Sheldon. We're all set. We are now live and underway here, sir. So let's start the ball rolling. So has been having the same problems for the past week. S-O-R. Who's S-O-R? Kevin Whip has been having the same problems for us. Huh? S-O-R? I don't know.
Oh, I see.
I'm not sure what S-O-R is. It sounds familiar, like I should know, but I'm not putting that acronym together, so... Not sure who that is, Kevin, but yeah, echoey stuff is kind of a pain. It's all this technologies, and the more you try to do, the more you're introducing problems as well. So it's kind of the nature of the beast. But let's get to some paranormal fun. We've been going through this article for a few days now, and we got a long way to go. I don't know if you can see on the right here, but it just shows you how big this is. But we're going through an article on factinate.com. And these are aggregated responses to Reddit questions and stuff. And I actually saw many of these on another list I looked at today. So, and it wasn't from Factinate at all. It was another one. I can't remember. It was like Money something. But there's several of these sites that do these aggregations from Reddit. But I find them very interesting. Now, truth be known, we can't validate any of these claims at all. All we can do is just say they are represented as truth. So that's the best I can represent them to you. Now, I'll never knowingly use anything that is a hoaxy or less than in the honesty. How do I say this? I'll never do anything to promote any hoaxes or any misinformation ever on this course of the show. I will always present things that at least are represented as truth. I can't validate, I can't verify them, but just so you know that through the course of the show, if you're ever listening to the show, if I bring something to the table, I'm bringing it to you in good faith that it's supposed to be real. Now, I'll be the first to admit some of these things we read on these shows are like, no, and I'll say that on the show. So I don't ever want you to feel like, that was a bunch of bunk. That was a bunch of crappy stories and stuff. I didn't write them. I just found them to bring to you to have the discussion. So, all right, let's get to
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, yeah.
As far as, I know I've asked this with Sasquatch and whatnot and stories about that and Dogman and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But as far as ghost stories, like nothing visible, but at least that are written down, what are some stories, like what are some indicators in those stories that you're like, that sounds really weird, as far as stories go?
Well, I can give you one great example, and it's come up through many different stories that I've covered on the show. And every time it comes up, I'm just like, And usually they are allegedly written by, and that sounds terrible, but younger teenage girls. And they turn into Twilight stories. Oh, I had this horrible demon, but we fell in love. And it just gets so far out there. It's just like, oh no, they're making, their own Twilight story. And I'll say that, it sounds way too Twilight-y. I don't buy this at all. And they talk about how this relationship is so hard and they want to be together and this demon protects them because it's in love with them and all this stuff. It's just like, oh, no. Or what?
Well, I'm surprised that was an actual story.
It was. Well, that's actually several stories. I've run into several like that. And every time I hit those, I'm like, nope. And generally, I'll quit reading them. I'll just stop reading them. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to cover this. This is ridiculous. This is silly. Now, I do run the risk of, actually doing that to a real story. Is it possible? I don't know. I mean, generally speaking, even psychics who are very dialed into this stuff can't just have, these elaborate conversations. They maybe get feelings or impressions, maybe get words, maybe get pictures or ideas, but communication is very rudimentary in most, with most psychics that can communicate with the spirits. They don't sit down and have talk and have coffee and start sharing ideas back and forth as if it's a regular conversation. So in some ways, maybe it's more efficient because it's more an energetic kind of communication instead of words and symbols and stuff. But in other ways, it's just, it just tends to be more rudimentary and certainly not as consistent. So when people bring up these stories of, now, on the other hand, we do cover many children's stories where they're having full conversations with something, and so they seem to be able to. Is it possible? I imagine it is possible, but I just really, really question it. And especially when it turns into like love stories, it's like, no. I don't know. Just to me, it's too Twilight-y. It's just too much of the forbidden love, meets horror, meets ghosts, meets whatever. So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. But whenever I hit those, I just go like, no. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. No, I see. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, with stories like that, it's really stretching at that point.
Cold Stare says, I used to wrestle with my demons, but now we just cuddle.
That's what I was laughing at earlier.
That's awesome. Good job. That was funny. You get a rim shot, brother. All right. Let's continue now. We're going to get into some stories here. And again, these are aggregated from Reddit by factinate.com. And it says, give me a sign. My father passed in 2000 in my parents' house. Years later, I was over pretty late one night after my mom had gone to sleep, and I swear I could feel my father's presence as I was right in the spot where he'd had his heart attack. Anyway, I thought to myself, this is stupid. People don't leave essences behind. I'm not feeling anything. So I say out loud, if this is really you, Dad, knock a box of cereal off the shelf onto the floor. I wanted to pick something I didn't think could happen by accident. I went into the kitchen and stared at the shelf with the cereal on it for a few minutes, and nothing happened. Since it was almost midnight, I decided to sleep in my old bedroom. I woke the next morning and went downstairs, and a box of cereal was laying on the floor, and I said to my mom, "Did you knock that cereal on the floor?" She said, "No, it was like that when she woke up." Now, this is by half of a brain cell wrote this one. Now, this is the part that I would kind of struggle with, I guess, personally, is who leaves a box of cereal on the floor?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
Who would just leave it there? It's like, I'm going to leave that there and let the kid pick it up. Screw him. It just doesn't stand to reason. Like, I know if I walk through the room and there's something on the floor, I'm going to stop and pick it up, not just leave it there for everyone else. I'm assuming the mom had no idea about this request that the kid had made. And so, unless he told her, and then maybe she left it there. But I don't know. There's a lot missing from that one. So that one's a little bit of a red flag. But, believe what you want again. So, let's see. Number 28, just changing the bulb. I was outside talking to my neighbor, and suddenly it was like someone accidentally flicked off the lights and then back on. It was dark in the middle of in the day, as far as I could see, for just a split second. I thought it was just my brain, but then I saw my neighbor look confused as well. Then her daughter said, "What just happened?" We were all looking in opposite directions, so it was just suddenly dark everywhere. We still talk about it sometimes, no idea what it was. I spent hours on the internet trying to find answers with no success. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that defies logic,
Yeah.
When it just turns night. I mean, that would be almost like, is that you, God? God, is that you? What did I say? That's almost like a divine sign. When the light turns off outside, something huge is up. That just doesn't, unless it's a lost time kind of thing. And maybe they were stopped by some extraterrestrial intelligence and they perceive that as the light going dim for a second, I think that's possible.
I think so too.
Yeah. Sorry I got gum, folks, but I don't want to dry out and get all crackly again. So I'm sorry if my lip smacking is going crazy tonight. It's just, it's this, what is it? Trident. It's the what is it? Tropical fruit one. And it's great, but it's just like, it makes me just so spitty.
All right. Froggy.
Yeah, it is. I prefer this way better. So I do apologize though if it sounds a little gross. Number 29, Phantom School Bus. I don't know if I'd call it supernatural, but it was freaky and I still don't understand. I was in the kitchen cleaning up, waiting for my kid's bus. I saw it pull up and saw my son get off. He didn't come in, but he'd start playing around and I assumed hiding under the window to jump out at me and say boo. So I thought that's what he was doing, but I walked out and he wasn't there. I called his name, and looked around the house thinking he was hiding from me, but I couldn't find him. I circled the house calling for him, and then parent panic set in, and it probably only lasted 90 seconds, but it felt a lot longer. And then his bus pulled up and he got off. Ooh, that's creepy. A little time slip, maybe?
Yeah.
Huh. That was by Look for the White Light. Very interesting.
Good name.
Yeah, it is. It is a pretty good name. Number 30, said the spider to the fly. I came home after a miserable day during my teen years once, and because I didn't have my keys, I knocked to have my sister come down. And when she opened the door, her eyes were wide with panic. She asked, "Did you just get home?" I said, "Yeah, just now. Why?" She started jumping up and down like she was shaking off spiders. She then told me that she'd been hearing my voice from my room telling her to come in. And I said, "No, I haven't been home all day. Did you go to my room?" She said, "No, it was your voice, but I guess quietly malicious. It just felt off." She then called her boyfriend to pick her up and stayed overnight with him and left me in this creepy situation all by myself. I thankfully didn't hear anything else that night, though. It says, you've been longinated. I don't know what longinated or loginated. I don't know what that means.
Loginated?
Loginated, yeah.
Logan.
That's, that's something they say. If you ever hear a voice calling you, you're never supposed to answer. And I don't know exactly why. If it's an encouragement of the voice or the entity or whatever, but a lot of times people will report that. I was like, I was home alone, but then my mom started calling me, so I was like, what? And went and looked, and she wasn't there. But I don't know if answering, what the answering does or doesn't do. But I guess if you find someone calling you and you don't believe it's really them, just you're supposed to ignore it. Why? I don't know.
I mean, isn't that kind of like inviting the spirit into your home type of thing?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Is it's like you're encouraging that communication. Then once you respond, is that an acquiescence in a sense? Are you giving it permission, like you said, to continue? And I think you're right. I think that probably is what it has to do with, but it's very unusual. We hear those stories all the time on the show. These whole, this voice came out of nowhere and it sounded like my brother, but I knew he was at his friend's house, that kind of thing. And it kind of sounds like a doppelganger kind of thing, but more just in the form of mimicking. But it is creepy. I don't know what the quietly malicious voice sounded like, come here, come in my room. Is that what it was like? Yeah, in that case, you don't want to go there. You want to stay out of that room. Just saying. Eric Arters, formerly known as Rick the PH. Sup, Paranormal Portal peeps. Hey, Eric, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Let's continue here. Sorry. I got a little sidetracked there. Someone to watch over me is next, number 31. I woke up in the middle of the night and saw a man standing next to the bed, staring at my girlfriend. He was slightly translucent, so I figured it was just another sleep paralysis episode. I'd had them before, so I knew the drill. So I just rolled over and went back to sleep. But wait a minute. I suddenly remembered that being able to move isn't part of sleep paralysis. So immediately my heart began to race. I realized that I needed to roll over and check what I'd seen. The person was still standing there, and he was still staring at my girlfriend. Then he slowly turned his head and made eye contact with me. He stared at me for a while before turning around and walking to the wall, slowly fading away with each step. The next morning, my girlfriend woke up looking really bad, and she said she had the worst night's sleep because she kept having the feeling that someone was watching her. Glad we no longer live in that house. That is creepy.
Wow.
That's really creepy. Now, I've often wondered that, and I've said it on the show before, so if you've been around a while, you probably heard me say this, but I wonder why that is. What could these spirits possibly be doing just staring at somebody? Why? Just stare in a room, someone's fast asleep, and just staring at them. Sometimes they're really close, too, like people open their eyes and there's like a face an inch from theirs, and it's like, and I don't know. The only thing I can think of is it possible that they're watching the dreams? Is it possible that they're watching what we dream? And the reason I say that is because I believe spirits are energetic. Obviously, they would have to be, right? Because they're not physical. So perhaps they are absolutely telepathic and can just know what we're thinking. And if that's the case, could they see our dreams? Could they watch what we're dreaming? Maybe. I don't know. Or could they influence dreams? Can they write themselves into your dreams? And, and certainly there's enough proof of them, spirits appearing in dreams, both good and bad. And so it would seem that seems possible, but this one was just standing there. Now, the weird part is that the girlfriend claims she didn't really sleep because she kept feeling like someone was just standing there watching her. And it turns out someone was standing there watching her. But what was it doing? I don't know. Very creepy. I think that's a sixth sense.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think that's a sixth sense. I think it's some leftover maybe from our crawling out of caves and, raising up on the food chain a little bit. But I think that we do know when we're being watched. It's like some carryover, some survival mechanism, but it comes up all the time, that we know when we're being watched. And maybe it's the spirit in which we're being watched that makes it horrible. Because, like, you can go to a mall and, someone just be watching and glancing and people watching, and it doesn't feel creepy or weird. It just feels like someone saw you. But then you can feel like you're being watched. And it has a totally different feel. And then you look around and find that somebody's just got that dead stare at you from across the room. And it's like, oh, that's weird.
Don't some, like, even, maybe it has to do with intention of whoever's watching you.
Sure.
Because I feel like I think I've heard, like, even stalker claims. Mm-hmm. Like, it always starts out with, it was one night I was walking home, I just felt like I was being watched. Like, yep. Maybe it's an intention, and
right.
Maybe we vibrate that and people detect it depending on what it's vibrating
sure.
to. Or what.
So I think everybody's empathic. I think that term really gets, overused, but I don't think it's like, I don't think it's anything unique to a person. I think that we all have empathy to some degree. Some people don't tune into it at all. They may not have a huge awareness of their empathy, but I think we are empathetic beings because at our core, we are energetic beings too. And so we can feel that energy that's being used to observe us. And so I think that it's built into all of us. And again, maybe it's some old survival mechanism, who knows, but Rachel says, maybe engaging is welcoming to attachment. Oh, sure. Maybe it's testing the waters, looking for someone in the neighborhood. It might just be visiting various houses, looking for the right person. Yeah, true. There certainly seems to be some energetic beings or spiritual beings that are predatory. There seems to be some kinds. A lot of people think that shadow people need to feed off of us or other living things in order to persist. And maybe there's something to that. Cold Stare says, maybe they're trying to figure out why we are in their reality and don't realize we can see them. That's true too. I mean, what if that is the case? That's a good point, Cold Stares. What if we pop into their experience like spirits, and they're like just looking at us like, what are you doing in my home? So maybe it's a time anomaly where they look spiritual, but they're really physical in their own time space, but there's kind of an echo or a carryover there. So yeah, those are all great ideas. I think you guys are onto something, and it's so tough. We'll never know probably, but I think it's interesting. Black-eyed children. I would run. Heavy water. Tread says, black-eyed children, I would run. Yeah, I think we all, you should. if it's black-eyed children, you should run. I don't know. I've never heard of a happy black-eyed children story. They're all pretty horrible. You can't shoot them. They're kids. A black-eyed man, though you can shoot. Oh, well, that's always a possibility, I guess. But anyway, let's continue on. Let's go to the next one. And this is number 32, Sleeping Beauty. When I was around 15, my parents left me home for their weekend. And I thought, this is awesome. I can chill, play games all weekend and eat what I want. I went to sleep Friday night and then woke up to my mom waking me up to what I thought was the next morning. So I asked, what happened? I thought you guys were going out the whole weekend. To this, she replied, what are you talking about? It's 4 p.m. Sunday. I have no idea what happened to those 2 days. I didn't leave the house. There was no food or washing up that had changed since they left. I hadn't looked at my phone. There were unread messages from Saturday morning, but I refused to believe that I was asleep the whole time. That's really, really creepy. Wow. What the hell happened to that person? That was by Flip Flow Prob. Okay. Number 33, playing a supporting role in someone else's glitch. This technically happened last night, but I was just starting a graveyard shift and am only now just getting it all down. I work at a gas station chain, and we're just outside of a large chunk of suburbs. Definitely not the middle of nowhere. We aren't exactly near any other businesses, but we are rarely completely empty for hours at a time. It was just past midnight, and with everything going on right now, not a lot of things other than gas stations and bars are open at night anymore, so it was a slower evening. I was the only one in the store, and a car pulled up to one of the 2 double-sided pumps out front. The car was pretty standard, white 4-door. I'm not great with car brands, but it was a little nicer, like an upper middle class and probably only a few years old. A woman gets out, starts walking towards our door like she's in a daze. Legit, this woman looked like she saw a ghost. She wanders up, sort of freezes at the door for a second with a 1,000-yard stare before opening it and coming in. She didn't go looking for anything, didn't start shopping, just sort of stood inside for what felt like ages. Again, bars are still open, so I think maybe she's had a rough night or something. So I give the usual welcome. Let me know if you need anything, help finding anything. She finally notices me and immediately asks a question that makes my blood run cold. She looks at me and says, "You can see me, right?" And I reply, "Yeah." Like, what else do you say? She breaks down crying in the middle of my store, so I'm already headed around the counter to see what's up. I have my cell phone out just in case I need to call for law enforcement or something for her. I get her to sit down on a nearby pallet of soda, and I grab her a bottle of water. After she catches her breath a little, she tells me, I thought I died. Again, I'm thinking maybe she's on something, but she's a middle-aged woman who looks like a standard local suburban housewife, so she asks if she can call her husband to pick her up and wait with me. She has her own phone and does so, not really telling him anything either, just where she is and if he can come get her. He says he'll call an Uber and be there as soon as possible. We're waiting. So far, nobody else has showed up, so I'm keeping most of my attention on her, and eventually she starts to tell her utterly unforgettable story. She says, "I was driving home from dinner with my coworkers, and as I'm driving through this nearby intersection, a truck ran a red light and hit me." Now, her car is still at the pump without a scratch on it. She goes on to say she remembers her car being pushed into a pole, going airborne, and then nothing. I tried to calm her down, letting her know that her car is out front and it looks fine, but she insisted that she completely blacked out, woke up in an ambulance for a split second, passed out again, and then woke up again in the driver's seat of her car at the intersection, waiting for the light to change, perfectly fine. The whole thing freaked her out so badly that she drove to the nearest place that was open just so she could get out of her car. Her husband eventually showed up to get her and asked her he asked if I had any idea what happened. And even though she had sort of explained it to me, I just shrugged because no, I had no idea what was happening anymore. She reluctantly got into the passenger seat of the car and he drove them back home. That was hours ago, after which I worked an entire shift at the station, trying to wrap my head around what in heaven's name I had just witnessed. And that was the karma don't matter. Now, that is an interesting story, and I can say that I've heard similar ones, at least one other one that I can think of, and I think we read it just kind of recently, but this person was fearing that, this person was in the car and they got into a horrible accident. This person felt the crashing of the car, the way it jarred and was, there was another one like this too. I just remembered. But basically they felt themselves dying and then woke up in their car just fine, just like this. Now, another one that we just covered, I think last night, was this guy was asked by his neighbors to help them move a bed up into upstairs of the apartment next door. And he said the neighbors were always nice, so he decided to go help out. And he went over and helped them up with the bed, and then they asked if he'd help with an armoire, a big wooden armoire, to bring that up. And he was just being a nice guy. He's like, sure. So he's on the bottom, and the other two are on top, and he's got most of the weight on the bottom, but they're going up these stairs, and he said suddenly both of the people on the top end lost their grip, which sent him flying back, and he said he could feel it, and when he impacted the ground, and then he felt the armoire coming as he watched it coming, and then it was just blackness. And then it's like a second or so passes, and boom, he's at his kitchen table when the phone rings, and it's his neighbor asking him to help bring a bed up. And so it was like he watched himself die, and he said, "I'll help you with the bed, but I'm not helping with the armoire." And the neighbor said, "How did you know we had an armoire to move too?" And then he relayed the story to them, and they were like, no, they didn't really buy it, but he'd never been upstairs in the neighbor's house before, but went on to explain exactly how everything looked in the upstairs bedroom where they were going to move the bed. And he did not help with the armoire. So he said he died. He felt himself die. And then he came to. It was like a do-over. I don't know how else to explain it, but those are incredible, incredible stories.
Yeah, like divine intervention.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Very much so. So I think that's pretty powerful, very powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Just saying. Yeah. Let's see. Paranormal Portal, you read it, but can you make it into a musical number? Nope, I cannot. I cannot. Just saying. That takes that. I'm not one of those people that can just sit down and make songs. They just come out once in a while. I wish I was a true musician that could sit down and plan out songs and create them and stuff, but sometimes they just come out, and that's what you hear on the show. What came out? Here's another one, number 34. Check your brother. I was out with my parents, and it was late coming back home. At around 2:30 a.m., we were at a traffic signal, and a homeless guy came, knocked on the window of the seat where my mother was sitting. As she rolled down the window to give him money, he said something to her, "Check what's happening at your brother's house." He then proceeded to take the money and walked away. Probably thinking that he was a bit crazy in the head, we didn't bother about it and went home. The next morning, my mom gets a call from her brother's wife. He'd had a heart attack at exactly 2:30 a.m. Ooh, that's creepy. Creepy, huh, Sheldon?
Creepy and sad.
Yeah, it is sad because there was maybe there's a point to that there could have been an intervention. But what do you do? I mean, that's kind of weirdness. What do you do? I guess if it was me, I'd probably make the call, though. Just be like, "Hey, is everything okay? Just had this weird thing happen, Not sure. Number 35, that funny feeling. I was staying late at work with some colleagues, and our office was located around the 40th or 50th floor of the building. It's like they don't know which or what. I don't understand. But it's anywhere from the 40th to the 50th floor. Anyway, I suddenly had this really strong thought. I guess the office could be all 10 floors. Maybe that's what they meant. Sorry. Maybe I'm the one that doesn't get it. I suddenly had a really strong thought that if an earthquake were to hit now, the dash downstairs would be chaotic. I tried to brush it off, but couldn't. The feeling was so strong. And it's not like I'm not used to working in high-rise buildings. I'd been working at the place for around 2 years at that point, and had never felt that way before or since. I decided to leave and work from home, which was only 15 minutes away, on foot. Just as I arrived home, an earthquake struck. It was pretty intense, and thankfully, everyone in the office was all right, just freaked out. But it was so strange that something just told me to leave, just minutes before it happened. Yeah, that's some good premonition there. Oof. Number 36, carpet diem. Carpet diem, not carpe diem. When I was a kid, maybe 10 or 12, I was home alone while my mom was out doing errands. So I was carrying a load of laundry upstairs in our house. We have this weird carpet runner over all of our hardwood stairs, and that's only really attached at the top of the flight, but otherwise not fitted or secured to each individual stair. I remember those things. Those were big in the 70s. We had them all over the place, too. You had this, plastic runner that went up the carpeted steps, which was, it wasn't so bad when you're a little kid because we loved to slide down the stairs in those carpet runners. You can get some mileage going down the stairs on your butt. I mean, they would have just, it was like shuffling cards. You'd be flying. So naturally I step on an air bubble of carpet, with my vision obscured by the laundry and fall backward while bear hugging a bunch of blankets. I specifically remember thinking, well, I guess this is the end, while almost airborne with just my big toe left on the carpet. Suddenly, I felt it. There were 2 hands lifting me, one on either side of my shoulder blades. The 2 hands gave me a firm shove that launched me back up on the step and diagonally against the stair rail. I assume Mom somehow silently came back early without announcing herself and turned around to thank her while still clinging to the railing. But nobody was there. I scurried upstairs, put my things down while calling her name, and walked the house afterwards to check if any of the doors were unlocked or if her car was there. I finally resorted to calling her cell, where she told me she was hitting up a few more stores. And it just still feels like there's a presence on that stairwell, like someone's watching, but in a protective way rather than sinisterly. Yeah, if they caught you, that's a good thing. That probably means they're up to good. They're not up to no good, they're up to good. Number 37, Back to the Future. That was weird. Did you hear that?
What? What'd you hear?
Maybe it was Anubis. I don't know. It was just like,
well, something happened here too, so what was it?
something went like that. But it could be Anubis. Yeah, I don't know. Is that you? He's zonked out on the chair. I don't know if it's him or not. Maybe he snored. He doesn't normally, but he does sometimes make little moans like that. Maybe it was him. All right, Back to the Future. I live in a very small town, and we have a small grocery store, hardware store. You know the drill. I was done getting groceries and hopped in my car to head home. As I pulled up to the end of my driveway, end of the driveway of the store, blinker on to get into the main road, I see a big, white, lifted Chevy pickup driving toward me that I need to wait for. I watch as it drives closer to me, remarking to myself that it looks so similar to my husband's, just older and rusted around the edges. It even has the same black emblem and large iron cross bumper. As the truck goes past me, my jaw nearly fell open. Staring at me intently was a man almost identical to my husband, but with a longer graying beard and gray hair around the ears. I quickly gathered myself together and pulled out behind the truck and up to the stop sign that followed, and he was staring at me, still in his side mirror, glancing away and then staring at me again, and he took off like a shot the first chance he got. And I tried to follow to see which direction he took, but a car was coming and I couldn't get out behind in time. The truck sped off toward my road, but I don't know if he turned in that direction or not. I know that it's a little crazy, but I couldn't help feeling the total connection I feel with my husband when I saw his reflection in that side mirror staring at me. It gives me goosebumps to think about it because it was like he knew that it was me, and I was the wrong age, and that he needed to get out of there before I could follow him. I got home and my husband was there working in his wood shop. Told him about it, and he chuckled and asked if he looked hot when he was old. I mean, he did, if it was really him. That's wild. A lot of time slips coming through on these, yeah? Strange phenomena.
Seems like every 10 has its own theme.
Right, yeah. It really does. Almost as if they were organized. Wow.
Brad Forsey says, I have had premonitions about people like the homeless guy. I think we can all do it. Like the homeless guy, he doesn't have a lot of distractions. He's more in tune. I haven't watched TV in years. And actually, that's something I as well agree with.
Right. Very true. Oh, actually, that reminds me. I got to do we're going to have a double feature on the Trail Cam Terrace tonight. You'll see. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
You'll see, because that just reminded me of another one that I've got to show. Thank you for that. That was very fortuitous. Number 38. There we go. Number 38, Dream Foretells Tragedy. I had a dream once about my high school best friend who had moved out of state and started a family. I hadn't seen her or spoken to her at least 10 years and had never met her child except seeing pictures and posts on Facebook and commenting on them. In my dream, I was walking down a street at night, and out of nowhere, her little girl appeared next to me. I looked at the little girl and asked her, "Where's your mama? Why are you by yourself?" I remember taking me to some bushes near a random house on the street and finding my friend in bad shape, beaten up or something on the ground. And I remember running to the door of a random house screaming for help and to call for an ambulance. This is all I can recall from the dream, but I think there may have been a little more. The next day, I woke up and thought to myself, man, that was weird. Maybe I dreamt of her because we had just spoken a little in the comments of a Facebook post. I should send her a message. I go on about my day, go to work, get home later that day, and sit on my couch and scroll through Facebook. Bam. 1,000 posts, rest in peace, etc. All of them tagged my friend and her daughter. I thought, what has happened? And at that point, there was no information as to what happened, so I thought it must have been a car accident or something. Over the course of the next few weeks to months, more and more information came out, and it was not an accident. It was murder. Both my friend and her sweet baby. This happened about 5 years ago, and I still remember the main parts of the dream vividly. I still am a little horrified that I had this dream that night, when it was happening possibly. I haven't been able to tell anyone else about it either because just thinking about it gives me the chills. Aw, so horrible. That was by Bella_XO.
That's too bad.
I know, it's just, it's, it's so tragic because there's so much beauty in the world and then there's still so much horror, We have the full spectrum of weirdness. Number 39, a rectangle in a round world. I was walking to my friend's house one summer, maybe when I was 10 or 11 years old. It was a sunny day. There were a couple of clouds, but otherwise it was bright out, perfectly visible. When a perfectly rectangular shadow came up from the direction behind me on the ground, maybe 15 feet by 30 feet in size, traveling just faster than a car probably would be, and went over the top of me. I was looking at the shape on the ground just as it went over, and when I did look up to the sky, I didn't see anything that could have possibly cast it. Even the clouds were just trailing little wisps. I looked down and it was going over some houses, and then it was gone forever. A mystery rectangle shadow. Or that was a UFO.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Could be a UFO story in disguise.
Sure. I mean, they can hide from your vision, but it doesn't mean they're not blocking sunlight.
True.
Very interesting. How are we doing for time? Oh, I guess we're probably at the time where we need to focus on the trail cam terrors because we got some to get through. All right. So, without further ado, are you all ready? Are you ready, Sheldon?
Always.
Always. All right. So, first off, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to deal with an experience of mine. And this takes place probably about, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, somewhere like that. And it was, I don't even know if you were there at the time, Sheldon, to be honest with you. I think you might have been with your mom that weekend, but it was Oliver and I, my middle son, Oliver. Now, we lived on the lakefront, and he was with me that weekend, and one thing about Oliver was he used to just get freaked out about bugs, which was really unfortunate for the poor guy because we have these hatchings of bugs probably 6 times a summer, and these bugs are billions of them. When I was home in July, I took a video of them and showed you guys. Those of you that might have seen it on the YouTube channel, but they are these mouthless bugs. They're people call them fish flies, scoplotches, mayflies. There's so many different names for them, and I don't know what the correct name is, but they're about 2.5 inches long with their tail, and they have these wings. They're just normal wings, but they don't have a mouth. So basically, these things live underwater for a while, and they hatch, and then they're born, and they breed and die. They live above the water for about 24 hours, and then they die. So this child went through all of that, made it, he handled it, but he hated it. So I was really used to him freaking out when it came to bugs. Every time he saw a bug, he'd be like, there's a bug. And he would just about fold himself in half dealing with this bug. And it was, it got to the point where it's like, oh, it's just fine. That's just a bug, just fine. And just because you hear something so many times and it's like, oh, I know it's a bug and you're going to be okay. And, so I was dismissed basically one Saturday we were awake and it was still pretty early in the day, probably around 10 a.m. or something. But, I was going to go to my computer and Oliver was near there, and I think he was sitting on my computer doing something, playing maybe World of Warcraft or whatever. And suddenly he goes, "Oh my God, there's a big bug!" And so I'm walking behind him. I'm like, "No, it's fine." And I sit down. And he goes, "No, it's really big." I'm like, "It's okay. It's just a bug. We'll be okay, buddy." And then I look over to where he's pointing, and he's got these saucer eyes. His mouth is open, and he's just terrified. I look over where he's pointing at the picture window next to me. And then I see it and go, "Oh my God, that's a big bug." And I start freaking out. So now I did capture it under a glass. And truth be known, I didn't kill it. I don't kill things that I don't need to, except mosquitoes. They can go to hell.
Yeah.
Everything else I try to save and let outside and do all that stuff, but mosquitoes can go to hell. But at any rate, I got pictures of it. And that's tonight's first entry into our Trail Cam Terrors. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a segment I like to call Frankenbug. Now, what I'm about to show you is a series of pictures I took of this bug under glass. Now, this bug is under glass on top of I got the bug in the glass as well as using a piece of mail that I received. And the mailing label on there was to me. And the mailing label is about, 3 inches, maybe 3.5 inches. To give you an idea for scale of how big, well, maybe only 2.5 inches. So this bug is probably a good 1 inch anyway, which is enormous when you see the kind of bug I'm talking about. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the bug in question. This is the Frankenbug, and I got several pictures to show you here. Now, this is image number 1. And as you can see, it's huge. Now, I don't know what this is. I'll be the first to tell you, first glance, looks like a bumblebee. Looks like a big bumblebee. But it's not. Because it has like fly eyes. You know how bees have those real aerodynamic eyes that are really molded to their heads. But like a housefly has these bulbous eyes. So this thing had a body like a bumblebee, but it had these bulbous fly eyes. And this is the picture number 1. Picture number 2, there it's in focus. It's actually in focus now. I want you to see this bee, this bug, this Frankenbug, whatever the hell this is. You can see how big and bulbous those eyes are. Those are not the tight-fitting eyes of a bee that are real, shaped to their heads. It's just these balls on the side of his head. Now, it does look in many ways like a bumblebee. It looks like it's got the whole pollen pockets and everything, but it doesn't look like a bumblebee in the head. And it's huge. This is the mailing label. And as you can see, it's enormous next to this mailing label. Now, we'll go back to the next one. And there it is again from a different angle. And you can see how huge that thing is. It was enormous. Now, I do want to point out there's decorations in the background. This thing had managed, those are the big flies, the big house flies that are like jeweled. Those are the big jeweled house flies that everybody sees in their houses. I mean, it's just a fact of life. And I don't know if they're more visible here. The reason they're in a chain like this is because this thing got into a spider web that had trapped a whole series of these things, these huge flies. And it busted that web with no problem and was dragging them around like jewelry. So those are big house flies. Those are the big ones that have the pretty colors and stuff. Now, this one again, then there's this one. It's buzzing its wings. You can see it's not fake. Again, you can see those bulbous eyes, this weird body, whatever the hell is looking like it's going to actually succeed in lifting that glass.
It's trying to.
Oh, yeah. That thing is just grabbing on, going, "You can't keep me here." It was freaky. It was just freaky. It was so huge. And we're going to continue. There's more. But wait, there's more. It's another picture right after it's still buzzing its wings, trying to figure out how to get that glass up. Now, I don't know. I was really nervous it was going to flip that glass over. It was so damn big. There it is. It settled down a little bit. Still, its arms are underneath there. It's trying to figure out what's going on with this glass. But it's huge. Let's see if I got several others here. There's a side view of it. You can get a better view. Look at those ugly eyes. This is not a bee head. This looks like a huge bumblebee body. But those are those pretty flies in the background there. Yeah, those are huge. This again was in Minnesota, so it's several years back. But you can see the size of that thing. I mean, look at the size of it. This is a 2.5-inch mailing label, and it's at least half of that. So maybe it's well over an inch. I don't know. This thing was huge. I was literally uncomfortable.
Yeah, it literally, like you say. I mean, I remember I've seen these pictures before. It's actually been years though, but you're right. It's the body.
Mm-hmm.
The body's a bee. The legs are of a bee.
Yeah.
The head is of a fly.
I mean, it's all fuzzy and stuff too. It's just, I don't know. And it's these weird colors and not colorful like most bumblebees that we have in Minnesota. But look at, he's like, looks like he's lifting the glass. Like, he's like, get me out of here. Oh God, it just was trippy. So I don't know. There it is again. There's another angle of it. Those are the pretty flies that's dragging around like jewelry. And there's the rest of the spider web that got trapped in there. But yeah, I mean, this thing was enormous. And he did not like being in there at all. And there's one more. I think that's about it now. But
Rachel says it could be a Midas fly, MYDAS fly. I was researching a fly for a cartoon. A Venus flytrap entered Eat the Biggest Fly contest. Like, eat the biggest steak and get it for free. I'll look up Midas fly.
Now look at this. Look at these antennae, though. It's got these little stubby antennas that are like curled down there. They're not like the stick out kind of antenna. They're just these stubs with this little weird drapey. I don't know what the hell those are. Unless that's the letters. It could be maybe from the label. But it did have little stubby antenna. I noticed that too. So they weren't like really long antenna. But you guys got to understand, this was literally traumatic. I felt so bad that I'd kind of downplayed it to my son. Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's just a bug. And I was like, oh, geez. Now, truth be known, after I was done looking at it and had it under the glass for a while, took some pictures, I was like, well, I don't know if it's supposed to be here or not, but all I can do is just let it go. So I did go outside, pulled the cup, held it up, and it did fly away. It flew slowly, but it flew away. I don't know.
God.
What?
Oh, I was looking up, who said it? Cold Stare says that actually looks like a botfly. I was looking, it kind of does.
Botflies are tiny, though. Botflies are little things. Well, I mean, they're about the size of houseflies, I guess, but I don't know that they're this big. I know that they go after horses a lot because they get horses to gnaw on there and then poop out the eggs so they hatch again. So, I don't know. I don't know that botflies get this big. Whatever it is, it was disturbingly big. And I hope these pictures are doing it justice. I don't know if you guys can appreciate the scale of this, but it was just disturbing as hell. So, what?
Apparently, you've been saying bulbs a lot in this trail cam too.
Bulbous.
Gigi says every time he says bulbs, take a drink.
They were bulbous eyes. Damn it. Look at them. They're bulbous eyes. Huge bulbous things. There it is. Oh, it still disturbs me. And this is just photos. But this is what this thing is. Look at that face. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he just looks like he wants out. He wants out. He's like going around checking the perimeter. This is not your normal flies, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Frankenbug. Whatever the hell it is. But I don't know if there's any answers. If any of you know what I got, should have downed it, then salted it, and brought it back to life in an hour or so. Whatever the case was, that's the Frankenbug. Frankenbug is part 1 of our trail cam terrors. Part 2 was some images that were sent to me that, I don't know, I'm perplexed, folks, but it could very well be a cryptid. That's all I'm going to say. I can't be sure, but whatever it is that was captured here, it was done on a trail cam. And it was sent in by Brad, actually.
You said it's a bear bug.
Huh? A bear bug?
It's a bear bug.
Oh my God. Everything's a bear. All right. So here's the next part of our trail cam terrors. And this is an image that was sent to me. It says 4 out of 4, but I could only get 2 of them. This is a tree. However, on the side of this tree is roughly a 2-foot creature.
Wow.
It's very creepy looking. It does appear to have a face. It does appear to have 2 eyes, a nose, a face, strange body proportions. You look at those little, it looks like scrawny little legs, but this like round midsection. It's hard to tell what the arms are doing because of the exposure here, but you can see it really does look like it could be a cryptid. Now, there's one more picture. It's a more blown up version of this. This is a cropped version, obviously, as you can see with the pixelation that this is very zoomed in. But this is just a tree. This part shouldn't be here. Not normally there. However, the person had a trail camera set up because they had tools and stuff in the shed and wanted to keep an eye on it in case anybody was trying to mess with their stuff. So they put a trail cam over there, and this is what appeared. Now, the person thought maybe juvenile squatch, and that is possible, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to have the normal, what you would consider for the body proportions. It just seems awkward. It just seems like it's got an awkward build. Very strange. It's hard to know what's going on here with this angle. In this angle, is it possibly an extraterrestrial? Is it possibly a proto-pygmy or a puckwudgie or something like that? It's literally 2 feet tall, and the way that they found a scale for height was because of this image, and this is the main image that it was taken from. This is about a 2-foot tire right here in this tractor, and you can see it's about the same size. But it's incredible. I don't know. I mean, I can't find any explanation for it. Obviously, I don't have a picture of it without this in there, but just a really cool capture. It's very, very intriguing. I don't know. What do you guys think? Now, the interesting thing is that we hear about this oftentimes in where the hell's the arrow? We hear about this oftentimes in cryptids. Some reason they seem to know exactly where the camera is. You know, and this is a trail camera that's obviously a little bit in the distance. This thing climbed this. Seemed to be aware that it's possibly its picture was being taken. I don't know. I don't have an answer. What?
Do you see where can't tell if that's pixelation, but do you see the tree in its midsection area, how it's like weirdly cut out?
Right here?
There? Well, I'm waiting for July to see where your mouse is. No. Yeah, well, the whole the whole tree itself, like it kind of looks like it's... Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. That's the weird part. I'm not even sure how it's hanging onto the tree other than could this be an arm bent down like this and up here grabbing? Almost like a mantis kind of arm. Or what are we looking at? There does seem to be something on this side as well in this area, but it could just be, it's not a lot different from anything else here, so it's hard to know how it could be grabbing on and holding itself up there. But yeah, I don't know. It's very, very peculiar. Very peculiar image. And I got to say, I got no easy answers on this one, folks. This isn't just it's just a light effect because of this, that, or the other. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. It does, it's obviously not a post edit because if you look at the pixelization of the image, the way these pixels are, it does fit. It fits to the pixelization of the image. The exposure's the same. There's nothing that is a telltale giveaway to some kind of edit. Is it possible still for it to be an edit? Sure, but I got to believe if someone's sending this to me that's a regular on the show, then they're not going to send me a bunch of bunk. It is very curious, very wild. I think these are great captures. I don't know what this is, but it does look like it's a being, but I don't know if I'm not really leaning towards it being a juvenile squatch. I think when they're this age, this size, they don't get very far from the parents. And I can't imagine, them just letting it climb a tree somewhere where they're not even visible in the area. I think they would keep them very, very close, in my opinion. When you look at this image, there's nothing else going on in this image that would suggest there's a big one of these around.
Plus, it looks really scrawny.
It does. It looks scrawny. It looks like the body dimensions they don't look like that toddler kind of thing. The pudgy body. Like if you look at a child, when they're 2 years old, they got this little, baby fat still all over, but this has really skinny arms and legs and looks like a rounder, bigger midsection. So what it is, I can't say for sure, but I find it very interesting. Yeah, Brad says it's legit and not a hoax. Yeah, I believe you, brother. If I believed it was a hoax, it wouldn't be here on the screen. So I think it's legitimate. I'm dying to know what it is. It's one of those things. It's a great capture, but it's like one of those 1 in a million. And I want to know what this is because I guess it would probably come down to being able to talk to the person, anything else going on in the area. Because if these things are around, I imagine there's other things going on too that may have tipped their hat that something was going sideways or weird in the property. Maybe it's weird sounds. Maybe it's finding things missing. Maybe it's any number of things, which would tie into the proto-pygmy stuff like pukwudgies and gnomes and such, that they're known to be mischievous,
It's also not too far to believe that it's a malnourished young squatch.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's sure possible, but again, I don't know. Perhaps
Rachel says one of the fairy folk. Maybe I'm not sure. I don't know anything about
the fae. Yeah, I mean, it could be some version of that too. It's hard to know, but it really does have some pretty striking features. Even as pixelated as it is, it's still possible to make out the facial features on this. Like it's got some weird coloration up here. It's darker, almost looks like hair, like a bad 80s cut. And then it looks like an eye, and then some kind of nose, but a long face with what looks like bigger ears. Now on Squatch, the ears are usually almost imperceptible. Like you almost can't see that they have ears. But people that have gotten close do say that they have these really form-fitting small ears that mold with the shape of the head. Like they don't stick out like human ears. They're very tight to the head. And this, what?
Well, she was saying earlier that it looked like a top hat, but yeah, I see it now. That, they look like above his eyes look like two long ears. Maybe it's just a really bad shot of a young dog man. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean any ideas is just as valid as any other, of course. But the reason that this is squared off is because of the pixelization. That's the resolution of the camera. So that's actually the pixel dimensions that you're starting to see there when we're getting this zoomed in. So I don't believe that was actually squared off. It's just the camera did the best it could.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't even see the ears. I thought it was like its head it just extended up.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about the ears being on top of the head. I'm thinking they're on the side here. Next to the, if you wait for the leg, right over here looks like an ear protruding off.
Oh, I see now.
Yeah,
okay.
Because it's the same tone. The tree, you can tell, does have a different tone to it. There's more of a bluish tint to this, whereas this is very cream and tan, which seems to play into the whole coloration of the body. So this does look like an ear, but yeah, it's a great capture, and I appreciate you sending it in for sure. I think it's wonderful. I just this is the kind of stuff I look forward to. So those are your double header trail cam terrors tonight, folks. I hope you've enjoyed them, but let's get back to the show. Well, there you have it, folks. this has been our journey into the paranormal portal tonight. You got to see a Frankenbug with extraordinarily bulbous eyes. Huge bulbous eyes.
Very bulbous.
They were so bulbous. It was shocking. Should have seen how bulbous they were in person. Just saying. I'm trying to get everybody drunk if anybody's playing along. That was about 5 shots right there, dude. Boom.
Yeah.
All right.
You're going to have a fun night.
She'd be drooling in her couch. All right, folks. That's about the journey tonight. I hope you guys had a good time. Thank you so much for joining us, as we are always thrilled to do more shows. I'll be back tomorrow night with a 2-hour show. I think Don will be remoting in, but we'll catch up to you then. Sheldon, you'll be back on Saturday.
Yes.
So we got a lot more Portal to unpack as the weekend rolls through. But happy Friday, everybody. I hope you have a great day tomorrow. And I'll be waiting for you here after the show. So you better be here, because I might have a test. I'm just saying. It'll go against your grade if you're not here. Okay. All right. Just so you know. All right. That's all I got. Sheldon, anything in closing?
Yeah, for anyone new here, we have a Discord channel. You can join in the description in the chat, or in the the link in the chats. You can join us for all our discussions, links, and all that jazz. Please join us, and let's talk about some stuff.
Let's get spooky up in the Discord, ladies and gentlemen. But that's all I got for you. So, yeah, thank you, Eric. Appreciate you coming in, brother. And thank you to all of you who came in tonight. Good night, Mom. Love you, too. It's great to see you.
Good night.
And all I can tell you is I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody. Watch out for those bulbous eyes.
Yes.